Imagine this. You're offered a powerful job that pays $200,000 a year. But that's just the base salary, because if you play the game right, you'll leave a multi-millionaire. All you have to do, work with corporations to pass laws that benefit them while the people who elected you get screwed. Would you take the deal?
The powerful shouldn't get to create one set of rules for themselves and another set of rules for everybody else. And if we expect that to apply to our biggest corporations and to our most successful citizens, it certainly should apply to our elected officials. And that's why in my State of the Union, I asked members of the House and the Senate to send me a bill that bans insider trading by members of Congress, and I said that I would sign it right away. Well, today I am happy to say that legislators from both parties have come together to do just that. The Stock Act makes it clear that if members of Congress use non-public information to gain an unfair advantage in the market, then they are breaking the law.
While everyday Americans struggle with inflation, job losses, and economic uncertainty, our lawmakers are making fortunes, using inside information to trade stocks before the public even knows what's happening. This isn't speculation, this is documented corruption, and today we're exposing exactly how Congress is profiting off insider information while the rest of the country pays the price.
You might remember these four from the start of the pandemic. In February, this one wrote this article, where he says the US is better prepared than ever before to face emerging public health threats. But then a week later, he did this. Weird. Well, not really. Before the rest of us knew how bad COVID would get, but after internal briefings by the CDC and Fauci on the severity of the upcoming pandemic, these four senators dumped a whole bunch of money they held in the stock market right as it was about to crash.
Congress, of course, could act almost immediately to help solve this problem. Obviously, it would require the signature of the president. Instead, they're busy with business as usual, and that mostly involves looking out for themselves and running for re-election. Nowhere is this more evident than how they cash in on stocks using insider information. Not only do they face no punishment, it's allowed.
Insider trading is illegal for regular Americans. If you had inside knowledge about a company's earnings or upcoming policies and traded on it, you'd be in prison. But for members of Congress, it's business as usual.
Again, this is not partisan. The fact is Republicans and Democrats abuse the system equally. Bipartisan agreement in Washington, congratulations. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi refuses to call a vote on a bill that would bar lawmakers from trading stocks while in office.
Pelosi has personally blocked legislation that would stop members of Congress from stock trading. Why? Because she's profiting from it. Over 100 lawmakers have been caught making suspicious trades, yet nothing happens. This is bipartisan corruption at its finest.
Seems like a no-brainer, especially because there is a long list, about 100 members long, of questionable trades by members of Congress or their relatives. Congressman Alan Lowenthal's wife sold Boeing shares a day before a damaging report about deadly crashes involving Boeing planes. Speaker Pelosi's husband sold NVIDIA stock just days before Congress placed restrictions on the manufacturer. Senator Tommy Tuberville bought and sold cattle contracts while sitting on the Agriculture Committee, which was holding discussions about, you guessed it, the cattle market. At the bottom of this graphic, you will notice the net worth of all three lawmakers. They are worth a boatload of money. Perhaps that's because they're able to use their positions of power to time the market and trade stocks at exactly the right time.
Let's be real. Members of Congress aren't brilliant investors. They're insiders who get privileged information before the public. Boeing stock crash. Lawmakers sold off shares the day before. NVIDIA restrictions. Pelosi's husband dumped stock just in time. This is not coincidence. This is fraud.
Folks, just hours after expressing her support for a bill called the CHIPS Bill, which will provide $52 billion in manufacturing grants and investment tax credits, and up to another $200 billion to boost a scientific and tech innovation, which in my opinion is basically just a big old stimmy check for American chip companies. funding their research and development. Just hours after this, guess what Nancy Pelosi did? She disclosed that she dumped about $2 million of Visa stock and basically used that to help her fund the purchases of over $3 million of NVIDIA shares, which is an American chip company. Democrats call this bipartisan, Mitch McConnell calls this partisan, and most Americans call this insider trading.
Pelosi's NVIDIA trade is one of the most blatant examples of insider trading. Her husband dumped millions in Visa stock and bought NVIDIA just hours after Congress passed the chip bill, giving billions of dollars to the chip maker.
For everybody else, that's called insider trading. It is illegal. But don't worry. Speaker Pelosi says that she plans to even the playing field sometime soon. Stay tuned. Chris Hahn is here, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. Chris, I hate doing these stories in the sense that you almost give hope to people that Congress might one time, sometime in their history, play by the same rules the rest of us have.
Let's be honest. Congress will never pass this bill because too many of them are getting rich from this scam. They don't work for you. They work for their portfolios.
The rest of us have to.
This story has been going on for a long time, Leland. This is not the first time I've talked about this. This is not the first decade or century that I've talked about this. This is a problem that Congress should rectify. There are people on both sides of the aisle who have tried to do it. Generally speaking, the other party tries when the current party's in power, but they can't get their own members to go along, which is pitiful, frankly. I think Congress should play by the same rules as everybody else when it comes to stock trading.
Yeah, but they don't, and they won't. What I thought was interesting is Nancy Pelosi, when this sort of first came up as an issue, basically said as much. There shouldn't be restrictions. Take a listen.
This is a free market, and people, we are a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
Pelosi loves to say this is a free market, but tell me, when was the last time you got inside information on upcoming government policies? This is not a free market. This is a rigged market.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they think that these hearings are open to the public and people could watch them. I don't know. I've watched a lot of congressional hearings in my day, man. This show is a lot more exciting, even when I don't agree with you. So it's very difficult. But look, the insider trading rules should be applied to everybody.
Right. But look, we can all agree that it's not fair that Congress gets to do this, right? It's not fair to the shareholders. It's not fair to the people who work for these companies. It's not fair to their representatives because those they represent, because they're obviously at times enriching themselves rather than worried about what's best for the country. This is from the New York Times. From 2019 to 2021, 183 current senators or representatives reported a trade of stock or another financial asset by themselves or an immediate family member. 35% of Congress. 19% of trades seen as potential conflicts of interest. There's a lot of members of Congress who are beating the market and beating some big-time hedge fund managers. We can all agree it's not fair.
Right.
Should we agree that it's just not going to change? Or are we asking too much?
This is the biggest financial scam in American politics, and it's completely legal. If a Wall Street trader did this, they'd be in prison. But when Congress does it, it's just part of the job.
People, I think, are becoming, in a way, skeptical that the process is clean in Washington, D.C. And I think that skepticism actually is a very good thing for an informed electorate.
Reformers ride on the scandal to try to get some of this legislation through, and I'm hoping to see that happen again.
Should Congress be banned from trading stocks? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're tired of this corruption, hit like and subscribe because this is just the beginning.